Hey, I want to ask you, what, since I'm a Dolphins fan, what is your thoughts on who my team selected, Chop Robinson, in the first round?
I was actually really high on Chop. I had him over Latu, which is something that not a lot of other scouts had. But Robinson was my third edge off the board behind Verse and Arnold, and so I thought they got great value there at 21. Um, and I think they filled a semi need. I mean, when you look at the Dolphins, they don't have a lot of weaknesses on paper. When you look at their roster, they could have opted for maybe interior there. But Chop Robinson's a great player, and I love the pick.
I mean,
Jackson Powers
one
Johnson,
weakness,
maybe, from
one
Oregon?
weakness would be Tua's arm. I'm just kidding, Jake. What were you saying?
I was just asking Kate, Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon, maybe?
That would have been an option. I wouldn't have been surprised to see, but I wasn't a fan of his as much as other people. I think Graham Barton is better than him, and I would have liked that pick more. And that's what I had in my final mock. Um, but yeah, I mean, you couldn't go wrong with any of those guys, Barton, Jackson Powers, or Chop, which they ended up doing.
Kate, I got two more questions for you. Number one, just was there, so we talked about great picks. Was there any reaches that popped out to you, at least in the first round, or maybe just throughout the draft? Anything that kind of struck you as like, whoa, that was little too much?
Yeah, aside from Penix, like we talked about, I mean, I feel like most of the first round guys I kind of expected. I think the one that we're looking at, maybe Xavier Legette and Ricky Purcell at the bottom half of the first round. I do think that there were better receivers on the board for those guys to target. And then maybe Jordan Morgan to the Packers. I like some other tackles ahead of him, but the Packers, I would have opted for Cooper DeJean there or Nate Wiggins, who was still on the board. I think secondary is their biggest need, and they opted for a tackle that I wouldn't necessarily say was their biggest need. But the 49ers, I like Purcell and I like the fit there. I don't think it was their biggest need, but again, when you're the 49ers, you can kind of have fun with the draft. And then the Panthers taking Xavier Legette. I mean, they obviously need help with the receiver. It wasn't a bad pick. It wasn't a great A plus pick in my opinion, but those are just some of the ones that stuck out to me.
I totally agree with Pearsall going to San Francisco. I don't with Kyle Shanahan. I know they like to do all those jet sweeps and all that, and he kind of fits into that. But you already have Debo Samuel, already have Christian McCaffrey. For
Right.
now, you have Ayuk. Like I don't understand that for the life of me. Really quick before I ask my second question, I know Jake is a big fan of Xavier Legette. I want to give you a chance to respond, Jake. What do you think about that being a reach?
Yeah, I think that Xavier Legette actually to Carolina. I mean, I feel like it wasn't so much of a reach. I feel like it was more of filling a need for the Panthers. The Panthers really need everything. But wide receiver is a good spot to start. And Xavier Legette is just explosive. We've seen it with Spencer Rattler, without Spencer Rattler at South Carolina. So I'm a disagree. I think Xavier Legette's a great pick at 32.
So he's like
Great value.
230 pounds. He runs like a 4.3. The talent is there, but I also see what I kind of also see like why like because there were so many. The Keon Coleman was still on the board. Adonai Mitchell was still on the board. Like I see what you're talking about though, kid. Just the last one I wanted to ask about. And this is not really a draft question. Jake asked the Dolphins question. I'm a Titans fan, so I want to see what you think on Will Levis because we take J.C. Latham. I think that was a really good pick at 7, by the way, because obviously Joe Alt wasn't available. We take next best available offensive lineman. You're talking about a 6'6" lineman, weighs like 330 pounds. I think we're going to be okay there from, oh, and by the way, coached by Nick Saban too. So you've got that. We're building the receivers. I think Calvin Ridley's now our number one. DeAndre Hopkins is our number two. He doesn't have quite the speed he used to, but the catchability is still there. You pay Ridley, he's number one. You got Tyler Boyd now is number three. And then we still have Traylon Burks number as our fourth receiver, who was a first round pick 2 years ago. Obviously hasn't lived up to expectations, but you never know. And then Tony Pollard in the backfield. What do you feel on Levis, and what do you think as a Titans fan we should like expect to see from him this year in year two? Like what would be a good season?
Yeah, I think I actually love Will Levis. I liked him coming out of the draft last year. I had him ahead of Richardson, but I was a fan of his, and I like what the Titans are doing. They're building together a good team. They went and got some guys in free agency. I love the Boyd pickup. I think that was a great one that no one's really talking about. But now I think that they've kind of given Will Levis not many excuses. So they've gone out there and they've given him the tools. They just need him to perform. And I think he showed plenty of flashes last year. I don't think he'll have a problem doing it. But I do think that they're giving him a reason not to, or no reason to fail. So they're expecting a lot from him this year. I can tell by the way that they're loading him up. And then J.C. Latham, like you said, was a great pick, giving him some extra protection. But um, I mean, it's a tough division that they're in now. I think it's a four-way race. But I think they just need Willis to take that next step and show more of what he can do in year two.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a really competitive division. But anyways,
Yeah,
Kate.
I just
Oh yeah, one more. Jake, go ahead.
yeah, I have one more question for you, if I may. I just wanted to ask you. I know you said you love Will Levis.
Hmm.
I just wanted to ask you because I had Will Levis at quarterback number two coming out of college last year. Do you think that is a reach for Levis at two, or do you think that's
No, I had the
because
same
I had
thing. I had Levis at two as well. The only one I missed on was Stroud. I had him at my three. And then obviously Bryce Young. But quarterbacks is by far the hardest position to kind of evaluate. So I don't hang my head too low on when I miss on quarterbacks.
yeah, I had CJ Stroud at one and Bryce Young at three behind Levis. Um so
Yeah, and then the
Yep,
narrative,
yep.
like they locked it in.
yeah.
Like, at the media and everything, they locked it in. Bryce Young's got to be the number one pick. Well, he is, and we'll see what.
Oh yeah.
But it's not over by far. But we'll have to see what happens there. But anyways, Cade, thank you so much for coming on. We're gonna
Yeah.
go to break, but we really appreciate your NFL insight. And like you said, with draft picks, we just got to wait and see what hits and what we were wrong about. But that's the fun of it. So thanks for coming on,
Oh
Cade.
yeah.
Yep. Appreciate it, guys.